May Market Watch. God, you wouldn't know it's almost summer because it's like 65 degrees in my house right now. So, pretty exciting news this time around, as I typically always say. That's why we do it a monthly show. So, the HMM Rev Raptor is finally available for pre-order after waiting for more than a year after the prototype was first shown. It's finally now available for pre-order, so it was like 15 months since we first saw the little teaser for it. And now it's finally available, so we don't have anything on the Raven Raptor or the Pal Bunker set quite yet, but the regular Rev Raptor is available for pre-order right now. I've already reserved mine, and go ahead and have at it, and make sure you get yours right now. Other than that, there was a bit of controversy surrounding the Hasbro Zoids Wild Zoids, because some people were thinking that Hasbro has just completely abandoned the brand and it was a total loss and they're just giving up on it. And the reason for that is because on the actual Hasbro Pulse website, they're no longer for sale on there. And I think that was just because they were out of stock. They ran out of the initial wave that they had, and it could be that they're moving towards physical distribution in retail stores. I'm going to be finding out today by looking at places like Amazon and other sites to see what they're going for. But the lack of any kind of update or any kind of communication from Hasbro is very concerning. But the irony of this is literally the same week that this happened, I walked into Hobbytown because Hobbytown had gotten in a shipment of the Zoids Wild Hasbro Wave 1 Zoids, which I bought 2 of, and I've already done the review of the Pincers, which is the English Kawaga, and I have the English Ruin, which is the English version of the Go Raptor. I'm also going to review soon. Those are already built. But to my knowledge, there's no real shortage of these kits. I mean, there's still going to be scalpers and stupid stuff like that on eBay, which is why I've pretty much foregone looking at eBay for specifically those kits. But it's hard to say. There really hasn't been anything officially stated by Hasbro, so we don't know if they've essentially given up on the brand. But it wouldn't surprise me. But I'd hate to kind of put that nail in the coffin quite so soon, because they did invest what seems to be quite a lot of money in this. You know, we got an English dub for the anime, they brought it onto Netflix, they localized the video game with physical copies for distribution, which is a big deal, even though it was done for cheap with a studio that primarily publishes kids' games. You still went with physical distribution for your kids' game, which is kind of surprising, given that I thought they would just do digital download only if they weren't sure if it was going to sell. But there hasn't been any talk about a Zoids Wild Wave 2 for more kits coming out later in the summer, and we get emails all the time from Hasbro about new Transformers and stuff like that. They're usually pretty on top of it, but it seems like they're just not in the mood to announce anything regarding Zoids. So, but it is what it is. I did pick up a couple of little kits off of a collector, or not really a collector, but a relative of a collector who is selling off their relative's collection for whatever reason. I know they didn't want it, or who knows, but I picked up a couple little things off of them that I'll go ahead and show you guys. So these are all, they were all Hasbro wind-up and motorized kits, and most of them I already had or didn't have a desire to have. So I was kind of selective, and I picked out a few that I wanted. So I finally got myself a little Hasbro Mulga. I've wanted one of these guys for a while, and you know, it's very, very simple, but I like them. I've kind of grown fond of them because of their lore significance, the fact that there's an HMM version of these guys, and how often we see them in the video games and all that. So pretty happy to have this little guy. And then I also managed to get a Takara Tomy NJR Command Wolf, a white Command Wolf, which I'm very happy about. I've wanted one of these for years. And even though I have the HMM white Command Wolf as well, the standard version, actually the Markings Plus version of the standard version, but this one is mostly complete. It does have both the pilot and the gunner android pilot as well, you can see up there. And it also, very surprisingly, has the peg in the center for the weapon to attach still intact. Most Command Wolves I see for sale have that broken off, including my original Hasbro one and Brad's original Hasbro one as well. Both have that exact same problem with that peg being broken off. But it's still intact here on this NJR one. The only thing it is missing is the other exhaust pipe booster thing over here. It's missing, so it's asymmetrical, unfortunately, but does still look really nice. It's got some kind of ugly nubs on it from where I'm sure the person that built it was a kid, and so I'm going to have to go back and clean those up. And the last one I got was this guy, a little Chimera Dragon, and as far as I know, this is not a Blocks Zoid model kit. This is actually like an action figure of some kind, and so it's kind of odd. Like, I don't know how I feel about this guy, really. He's pretty strange, but it'll give me an excuse to talk about the Chimera Dragon in a video. Yeah, he's got a little lever back here for his wings, so he's definitely like an action figure type. But he does have like the little railgun thing that goes on the Attack Cat, and although I cannot attach it to any motorized Zoid, it's still a nice little addition to the collection. I'm looking forward to actually having a video talking about the Chimera Dragon and its lore significance, and how I may have given it a very unfair, terrible rating in the Zoids Battle Legends tier list. So that's going to be about it for this. Let's go ahead and move into today's Market Watch.
Rev Raptor is finally here, available for pre-order after like 15 months of waiting for this guy after the initial prototype was first shown off. So these pictures look absolutely fantastic. The degree of articulation is pretty awesome. This would be a cool little kit to have a little action base with. And pretty happy with it, of course. They do have a disclaimer that some of these photos are from essentially a painted prototype and are not necessarily indicative of the final product, which is okay. So we don't know for a fact if this Pile Bunker unit here is going to come with this kit, or only with the Raven Raptor, or with both, where they both have it as like an optional thing similar to the W2 unit. I don't see any reason why that will not be the case, because the Rev Raptor is a very small Zoid. It's on the scale of the Cannon Tortoise and the Gun Sniper, if not a little bit smaller. So for this to not include the weapon would be a pretty poor value, if I'm being honest. But yeah, looks really cool. Interesting how the Zoid core is sort of attached to the blade unit back here, so it just kind of comes up out of the back of it for whatever reason. But yeah, it's finally here. I'm really excited for it. I've already pre-ordered mine. It's available here on Amiami for a really decent price. But other than this, Amiami doesn't really have anything new of note. It's pretty much the same stuff. The Fang Tiger and the Death Stinger ZS is still available for pre-order. Orders are closed on the reissued Shadow Fox, and a lot of the Xeno Rex stuff is still not available. There's a used Iron Kong PK pre-owned that is more expensive than just pre-ordering the new one. I don't understand why that's the case. Anyway, HLJ, much of the same thing is happening over here. Nothing really of note. Again, the Rev Raptor is here for a pretty good price. I actually pre-ordered mine through Amiami and decided to say I was going to pass up HLJ this time around, and not like they really care. But again, Shadow Fox is gone. These two are still available for pre-order. The Red Horn is still in stock. The Genobreaker is gone now. It's on back order, which probably means it is gone for good. But we will see what ends up happening with that. And the Zero Greasus is gone as well, which doesn't surprise me as well. So I'm glad that I finally got my hands on one, and we'll do a review of that soon. I realized I didn't show off the built Zero Greasus in the... Maybe I showed that off last time. No, I know I didn't. Yep, other than that, the Genosaur reissue is gone again, and the Godos Former Republic version is still in stock, and I highly recommend that kit after building my base one. So I wanted to take a look at a USA Gundam store. So I haven't shown off of this site in a while, but I've been to the actual physical retail store that is the USA Gundam store, and they actually have 4 Zoid kits available on here. And the reason that I went here initially was because I knew that they were the ones that had the Death Stinger, the ZA Death Stinger, the knockoff one that's like 30% bigger. And they have it. It's at a bit of a markup from its original price, but it seems like this thing is pretty desirable right now. A lot of people really like this thing, I'm noticing on the collectors group, even though, again, I have some ethical issues with it, being that I don't know that they have permission to make this, when essentially they're just scaling up the HMM version, which there's a existing merchandising contract for Kotobukiya to make this Death Stinger, and Of course, Kotobukiya came around and said, we'll make our own Death Stinger, but better. And so they released the ZS version, which is this recolor. And it does look really nice. So you're basically looking at almost the same price for these two. This one being, ironically, $10 more expensive, but in a different color scheme and smaller. But maybe it has a bit of a better build quality. I haven't heard anybody complain on the collectors groups about the build quality of the ZA Death Stinger, but it does remain to be seen. But it is a good possibility because the USA Gundam Store has the DCSJ, the Death Stinger ZS, and the Rev Raptor listed as available for pre-order on here, that these will be the first English distributed HMMs under that new licensing agreement we talked about in the previous video. So it could be possible that you guys could walk into your local hobby store and not only be able to get the DCSJ, but also the Death Stinger and the Rev Raptor. So pretty excited about that. Gundam Planet is a site that I've not really talked about very much, but they have an interesting selection of Zoids that I can't really complain about. They have basically all the ones that you would really care about. They have the Red Horn, they have the Saber Tiger Markings Plus, which is a pretty good price for that. I actually saw one of those got traded into win condition, actually, and I was tempted to buy it, but it was $100, and I'm like, that's probably what I would pay for like the convenience and DHL shipping anyway. So I'm like, that's a pretty good price, but I just didn't really have the money at the time, so I passed it up, and sure enough, it was bought immediately. So, but if I ever wanted one, there is one here on Gundam Planet. And, of course, all these are down here as well. It does seem to be that these three are the ones that are going to be available. They still have the Iron Kong Yeti, actually, as well, which is pretty absurdly expensive for that. I would not pay that much for the Iron Kong Yeti. I didn't pay that much for mine, as a matter of fact. And they do have the D-Bison as well, which that may be going away pretty soon, so I may want to take a look at that and possibly double down and get it. I was looking at my Hasbro D-Bison the other day, and I was like, I really do like the D-Bison a lot. It's one of my favorite Zoids. How have I not invested in the HMM version of it? Am I just, what's going on here? Why haven't I done that yet? So, probably should. Alright, so Ninin Games, much of the same on here. Again, the Rev Raptor is available, and the Storm Tyranno reissue on here is available as well. And that isn't absurdly expensive, so that might be something good to go for. Again, I don't know what the limited version of the Fang Tiger is going to look like, so I'm a little curious about that. Genosaur, the second wave of the Genosaur reissue is on here. I guess the Cannon Taurus is not available for pre-order anymore. I don't know why they have that listed, actually, because there shouldn't be another run of that this year, I don't think. It seems kind of odd. The CA limited edition color version of the Saber Tiger, that like prototype version, is still available on here. This is one of the only sites I've seen that has that, as well as the Gojo's Gunner. Looks like the Gojo's Gunner is gone, though, so good luck with that. That might be one of those things to order directly from Koto because it's so big and expensive, and you're looking at almost $400 for that. Wouldn't be me. Would not catch me doing that. The Zoids Infinity Blast game is still available on here. Super jealous of Brad, who actually did manage to get a copy with the blue Rising Liger in there. Very, very jealous of that. They still have the D-Bison as well. Maybe I should get it on here instead. It's a little bit cheaper. Quite a bit cheaper, actually. You're looking at about $95 before shipping, whereas they had it for like $117 at Gundam Planet there. And then the other thing interesting I noticed here on Ninin Games is they have a Kotana Nendoroid, which is really cute. And, of course, with older Nendoroids, you always run the risk of bootlegs. And this is probably secondhand anyway, so it's curious that they have that, but they never used to list that, so it must have just recently come in. But good price for it. Might be something to look at. I still like the Kotana statue over here. That's a bit expensive, but good luck ever finding one of those ever again. And then I think they took the Blade Liger Mirage. Nope, it's still here. It's gone. It's never coming back in stock, but for some reason the listing is still up. And it would appear that the Revoltech regular Blade Liger is still in stock, although that's probably not what I would pay for that. It's a little bit expensive. So anyway, I wanted to look at the Zoids Wild Kits because everybody is freaking out that Hasbro has just essentially abandoned the Zoids brand, like I talked about at the beginning of the video, that they took them down off the Hasbro Pulse site, so they're done with them. They're not releasing any more waves. They're just sort of unceremoniously like bowing out and saying, that's it, we're done. And that could be the case, although I don't think that's very likely. I'm sort of going to wait for them to make an official announcement rather than just going with weird conspiracy theory kind of things. But I wanted to just kind of prove that the Wave 1 of the Zoids Wild kits are still out there, and not to pay scalper prices, because they're really not being scalped all that heavily. Like, they're pretty plentifully available, if I do say so. So Big Bad Toy Store, which is a site that a lot of people that I know buy Transformers off of, especially imports, it's a good site from what I hear. You're able to get sort of exclusive stuff a little bit more easily off of it. I have never personally used it, and it seems like it's a pretty expensive site. Not quite as expensive as like Toy Wiz, where they're like absurdly expensive. Like, don't buy anything sealed off of Toy Wiz. But yeah, they have Wave 1 here, and this is all 4 of these wind-up kits together. And if you look at the combined price, this is retail. This is not a significantly huge markup, so this is not a bad deal if you guys wanted to go through here and get these 4 kits from Big Bad Toy Store. Not a bad deal at all. The Entertainment Earth site, of all things, has Zoids. So I was not expecting this when I looked, but not only do they have the Rev Raptor available for pre-order with only slightly above retail markup, they maybe make about $10 profit off of this before shipping, but they also have the Zoids Wild kits, and all of them are in stock. You can get them in combinations too. Like, you can get Ruin and Tanks together because they're both the $20 kits, and you can get some of the wind-up ones together. Surprisingly, you can't get Liger and Alpha Shadow as one pair because they're the $30 kits. Maybe that would just be not a desirable package. But yeah, all of these are retail. There's not a significant markup on these at all. The Trike or Triceratogos in stock, $30. These are all the $30 ones. These are the 2 $20 ones, and the rest are the $10 wind-up ones. And that's it. And they're all here. They're all in stock. Can't get wrong with that. Entertainment Earth's a pretty long-standing brand with some reliability behind it. And then, speaking of long-standing juggernauts of retail, over here on Amazon, they're still in stock. All of them are still in stock. I can order this right now. Retail price, and it's first party from Amazon with Prime and everything, I believe. And I can get the there we go. They're all in stock, and they're not marked up. They're all the retail price. So let's look at Tanks, the turtle. There he is, $20. Yeah, directly from Amazon. So. These kits are out there, so if you guys are worried about them going away, that could be the case, but it isn't obvious to me that that's where we're going. So, but I'll continue to monitor that pretty closely, because if Hasbro doesn't make an announcement, then that could very well be that, there is not going to be any Wave 2, which is a shame, because there are a ton of Zoids in Zoids Wild, the anime, and in the video game that were given names and are not going to be made into kits, if that's the case. But regardless, I think we all kind of saw it coming, and it doesn't detract from the fact that we, as the adult fans that enjoy the series, Zoids Wild Zero being as good of a series as it is and having as good of model kits as it does, just because Hasbro is not going to pick it up and localize it doesn't detract from how good it was. So anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for this month's Market Watch. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.